Imagine you're a business owner relying on a dozen different software programs, each one disconnected, more expensive, and more complicated than the last. It can be incredibly stressful, right? Now, picture Odoo. Odoo brings all the tools your business needs into one simple platform. CRM, accounting, inventory, manufacturing, marketing, HR, and more. All seamlessly connected. Everything works together, giving you the peace of mind that your business is running smoothly from every angle. Odoo's open source applications are user-friendly and designed to scale with your business, saving you time and money. Say goodbye to juggling multiple platforms and hello to efficient, integrated management. Stop wasting resources on complicated systems and make the switch to Odoo today. Visit odoo.com, ODOO.com, and discover how Odoo can simplify and streamline your business operations. Odoo, modern management made simple.
911, what's the nature of your emergency?
Good morning, police, fire, military, and families, and to everybody who is listening in on the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Walton. We have an amazing guest today. If you are a veteran, if you know a veteran, and if you love dogs, then today's episode is totally for you. And I'm going to ask a lot of selfish questions. As we're going through today's episode, I encourage you guys to do the same. You can drop your comments down below. Good morning, everybody. I am doing a giveaway because we're going to focus today on wellness. So I found this really cool massage gun, and it has all of these different attachments to it. I recommend having somebody else use it for you because it's the kind that can definitely target things, especially between your shoulder blades. So whoever comments the most within the next 24 hours, I will send that to you. If you won last time, you can't win this time, but you can win next time. We have Mr. Ryan Woodruff, and sorry if this is embarrassing, but I was Woodruff, and knowing your journey and roof at the end of your name, I'm this is really cool. Ryan is the CEO of Clear Path for Veterans, and he's also a Marine Corps veteran. So Ryan, thank you for coming onto our show, and thank you for your service.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I love what you're doing in your group.
Thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about how you even decided to get into the military? Because it's my understanding that it wasn't just you and you got to attend boot camp with your older brother, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I've wanted to be a Marine as long as I've been alive and, understanding of the Marine Corps, the tribe that it brings. I chose the Marine Corps because it had the reputation for being one of the hardest branches to be in culturally, physically, and I wanted to fight for my country. I've always had a deep sense of patriotism. So after 9/11 and graduating high school, that was just a path for me, and I followed it.
Something really interesting is I heard you say that during your freshman year, that's when 9/11 happened. And that's my memory of 9/11 is sitting in my first period class of 9th grade. And so I'm wondering, because I think you were a first generation, what led you to make that as your career choice right out of high school?
So growing up as a kid, I was very isolated, moved around a lot. I could never find community. So it was hard for me to blend into different social groups. The ones that I did blend in with probably weren't the best crowds, to be honest with you. And the idea of joining a fraternity like the Marine Corps just really sparked everything that was missing within myself. So that's just what I did. I mean, I couldn't think of any other branch that was attractive to me at the time. So the Marine Corps it was meant to be in the Marine Corps. It's the best way I could put it.
So what was it like for you then? Because I believe you served for 4 years and then you got out. So what was that transition like back into civilian life?
Transition was hard. I mean, I joined it within that first decade of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And at the time I went as an infantry rifleman, I knew I would be going to Iraq and experiencing some hard stuff. Went in knowing that I was going to see combat. And I did. And unfortunately, not everybody I deployed with came home. And it took me a long time to wrestle with that, to be honest with you. I did 2 deployments, and after, making it home physically, I will say I decided I put my life on the line more times than I can count doing this job. And I was really interested to see what else was out there in the world and just to see what I could be missing to maybe enjoy some of the freedoms that we had fought for. And, you know, a lot of the guys I served with were doing the same thing. We did our 4 years in the infantry, and I can count on one hand everybody in my company that actually re-enlisted after experiencing all that. So knowing that I was already going to be losing my tribe and working with a whole new set of guys coming in, it just felt natural for me to get out and get into the civilian world. It was nothing that I expected. I lived hard and fast, to be honest with you, is the really only way I knew how to live. I won't say I struggled or, you know, I wasn't plagued by alcohol. I willfully chose to drink. It made me feel different than the way I was, and made me feel much better. It made me feel confident in the world that I was trying to assimilate in. Made me feel closer to the community I was trying to be part of. And it quickly became a problem that lasted for well over a decade. And I'll say, you know, that carried with me from the military culture too, because anybody that serves in military or perhaps even law enforcement understands that that is a coping mechanism that we're easily attached to.
Yeah, thank you for your vulnerability. You're fitting right into this group, man. Waking up and all of you guys are suddenly making me feel old. Thanks, guys. I was pregnant, being asked if I wanted to deliver a baby on that day. Dan wanted to sign back up when that happened too. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like that's such an instillment in all of our lives, and how admirable for somebody to choose service, especially at such a young age. So you turned to alcohol, and what happened after that? Because I know your story, but I know that's not where it ends.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and law enforcement seemed to be the most natural transition for me. That didn't pan out the way I had expected to. I never got selected to be in one of those positions. There was a hiring freeze in the state police at the time that I got out in New York State. So, you know, I couldn't just flounder and do nothing. So I pursued a different career in arboriculture and forestry. To me, that was next best, just to be close to nature, something that I've always had an affinity for. And I did that for 6 years. I was an arborist with a big tree company. And, you know, that was closely resembling some of the elements of the military, just working in small teams, very challenging work, and basically putting your life on the line every day. You're climbing those trees. But after a while, I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. There's got to be a terminal point. What's going to be next? A friend of mine was working at an organization that was helping veterans navigate from military to their civilian transition. And he said, hey, we're actually specifically looking for a combat veteran that lives in your geographic catchment area to help other vets connect and work through some of the challenges that they're experiencing that are similar to the challenges you have probably experienced and overcome. I didn't overcome any of those at the time I was offered this position. I was still very deep within them, but it sparked something in me, and it gave me a new purpose that I was really excited about. So I interviewed for that job, and fortunately I got that position, and I started to work with veterans all over the New York State community.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes, Sky was born the next day because I told the doctor he was crazy. Yes, he is crazy. I just saw a couple who chose to get married on 9/11. Like, yeah, that's just crazy. Good morning. Yeah, Jim. So you and Ryan totally need to connect. Jim inside of our group has 2 service dogs. He is also a veteran, and I know that you do so much more, and we're going to get into everything that you do, but I have never seen somebody who cares for their service dogs the way that he does. He spends like an entire day, I think once a month, preparing raw food for his animals. And like, it's just so cool to see the way that everything connects. And I know that you're a man of faith, and I don't believe that anything happens that's not serendipitous for a reason. And so ever since you started to get involved in this program, what ways have you seen it kind of play a part in not only the life of yourself, but also your family?
So many ways. It was the start. I mean, 10 years ago, I believe was really a decade of healing for me that began not by accident. And I truly believe that faith brought me to that over time, truly, because it wasn't until several years later that I was able to like look back and see where God was present in my life to bring me into these different environments, to challenge me the way I was, and to eventually overcome and work through a lot of those barriers. Starting with working with other veterans, I was driving all over the southern tier in New York. And New York's a pretty big state. So spent a lot of time on the road, meeting veterans where they were at, and truly like opening my eyes to some of the darker challenges, the other side of, service that were these vets were struggling with for decades. I mean, for 20, 30, 40 years that were living isolated, couldn't put food on the table, had just been plagued by substance abuse for so long that they just couldn't find like a light at the end of the tunnel or any purpose. So I would spend hours with them and just talking, having coffee, breaking bread, delivering food to them, helping them find housing if they were homeless, connecting them to different services that were available within their communities just to get them like a helping hand, just to reassure them like, you're not alone. And it's our responsibility as a community to give back and to welcome you home, to form an enduring protective circle around the military community as long as it takes. So many of those people, they just are lost, and they live like that for so long, it just becomes part of their identity. So that was like one major eye opener for me. And I did that for a year. And then I got connected to our canine program. Our canine program provides service dogs for veterans struggling to find independence in so many different ways. Like the buzzwords are PTSD, TBI, MST. We provide service dogs specifically for those different things, but I tell people often it's for so much more. A service dog that co-regulates with you on a daily basis, that develops the same circadian rhythm with you, that goes with you everywhere you go. That's very close to what we're used to in the military. And there's truly no words to describe the power of connecting with an animal, be it a service dog or a pet. I would say there's so much power in just getting a companion animal and living with that dog. But when you start doing life with them, bringing them out in the community, it really helps in so many different ways to just bridge that gap between you and the community, because people are going to talk to you. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to want to know what's the deal with the service dog. They're going to probably ask to pet your dog. And it's over time, if you can embrace that and not be averse to the fact that you're surrounded by people that don't understand you, it really does help. It's like building a muscle. You're going to have those collisions every day, and it helps you find community again after that was lost for so long. But yeah, just being closely connected with a dog at the other end of the leash that truly understands your issues. In my experience, my dog fed off all the bad shit, to be honest with you, like the stuff that I was really struggling with. And I realized that, this dog is just feeding off of my heightened senses and not really wanting people to come into my circle. And, while she didn't become a service dog, it really helped me understand a new path forward. I wanted to become a dog trainer. I eventually did that. I started working with other veterans that were going through the program, and it filled my cup in such a way that it's impossible to think it was anything, like it wasn't by accident. It happened for a reason. And so it just continued from there. I started to really work with these other veterans, these dogs, find community and purpose that were far beyond anything I could have expected. So I definitely feel like it was a blessing that I found clear path and didn't end up going down that road of law enforcement at the time. I think this is the path I was meant to travel down, and I feel like I'm really just getting started at the same time.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I missed the beginning. Does he have a service dog? That was my very first question. So I'm glad that you asked that. So right now he's training service dogs. But Ryan, can you talk to us a little bit? Because there's so many people in this group that do have service dogs, but I've never heard anybody talk about just the emotional relationship and how important emotional intelligence is with that connection with your partner as a dog, and how it might be something that current service dog owners might want to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, 100%. So when we're selecting candidates to go into our program, we definitely want to ensure that they've done some work, whether it be part of a support group, therapy, church, they're doing something to better their situation. Because if you enter into a program with a dog that, they can be vicariously traumatized by some of your pain. To be honest with you, they absorb all of that. Dogs are a blessing in that they take it all in, and it can, over time disrupt some of their behavior and their etiquette out in public. if they're doing what they think they're supposed to be doing. We've been with dogs, domesticated animals for thousands of years, and early on they were used for like detection and, alerting tribes of people coming into the community and things like that. So they learn through their environment. And if their environment is somebody that is like really at the heightened sense of symptomatic post-traumatic stress, it might not be the right time to be placed with a service dog. What we're looking for is somebody that has done some work for between 6 months and a year to help their situation, but also has like a need for the service dog. So it's like right in between that spectrum of needs and readiness is what we find to be the most successful in being placed with a service dog. The studies and the research out there are astounding in what a human animal bond connection can do for you. There's studies into, the cortisol awakening response and how veterans traditionally have a lower CAR when they wake up because they're dealing with stress continuously throughout their day. So waking up, after your inter-civilian life can be much more difficult. You wake up groggy. You don't have the same awakening response that those that haven't experienced some of those major traumatic events have. In dogs, one example I'll use is I'm part of a neurofitness program right now, right? And as part of this program, you're provided with this headset that measures your neurofeedback, and it teaches you focus and relaxation. Just the other night, I was doing a 20-minute relaxation exercise, measures your brain waves, your neurofeedback, heart rate variability, and it gives you 3 different feedback sounds on whether you're going into coherence, whether you're drifting, or whether you like hit that perfect optimal state. And I'll be honest with you, I was super frustrated. I wasn't getting the feedback that I needed. I was drifting. I kept hearing this sound that told me like I wasn't hitting like this optimal state. And my dog comes up to me while I'm doing this, like my pet dog, a Dutch Shepherd, not a service dog, just my dog, sensed this heightened sense of frustration, put his head in my lap, and I start petting him. And the gong immediately goes off to say I hit the optimal state. I could have cried, to be honest with you. I couldn't believe it. And I don't know why, because I know all this stuff is true, but to experience it in real time was just incredible. And so like I'm reinforced every day that these dogs do this incredible work. We see it in every veteran we place. A lot of them report back like, I have purpose. This dog has saved my life. There are so many instances where somebody will call me and say, the dog's performing these different tasks that we didn't actually work on or train. It's because the intuition of the animal and getting to know you and who you are and some of your challenges, they're going to naturally do that. The partnership is incredible. There's nothing like it. I would recommend to anybody out there, whether it be it pursuing a service dog program or just going to get a dog with purpose and intention and give that dog a job because they love it. They want that job. And it's the same for us.
I love that you shared that because it reminded me of a similar story with my dog. I have had numerous people that want to pet Stormy. Of course, she's like the most beautiful dog ever. Okay, so one of my selfish questions, Ryan, is what would distinguish somebody from needing a service dog versus needing a pet dog?
Yeah, that's one of those things I would say, search within yourself and tap into the community and ask questions of other service dog handlers, like what's it like? Being the center of attention every time you're out in public. What does the service dog do for you specifically? I asked myself at the time I was considering, like, what are the things that I'm actually not doing now that I would like to do more of, to be a more intentional father, husband, member of our community, will this dog actually help me get there? Will I do more of these things? It's a challenge. And that's one thing I found a lot of veterans like. They want to engage into something that's going to trigger that pressure for them so that they can work through it and find whatever success looks like for them. So in order to be successful in our program, you pretty much, you got to take the dog out like daily. You got to go out and do these things. And that's healing, right? Like you're constantly going out, taking the dog out into public, teaching them the skills that we taught during training camp. And it can be really incredible. It can be stressful too. It's a disruption. I mean, you're adding a member to your family, and you have to the gentleman you just mentioned that has 2 service dogs that's providing like the highest level of care. that's what we expect for all of our handlers too. Like, treat this dog like he is a part of you. If not better, but like your dog is a reflection of you in the mirror, right? Like, how you treat your dog is a pretty good indicator of how you're treating yourself. So, we do home visits every year, and we check out the dog. We make sure that they're still able to pass their service dog public access test. But really, we're just checking in on the vet. Like, how you doing? Everything good? Dog's still working for you? Best case for us is that at some point you don't feel that you have to bring the service dog everywhere you have to go. But, if that's the case, then that's fine. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, something I loved hearing you talk about is how our Vietnam veterans really paved this segue into all things to help to break the stigma around what veterans and first responders are going through now when it comes to mental health. And I've also heard you say that, a dog is your community. Many times we think that having a community means that we need to go and like check into a meeting somewhere with a bunch of people. And what you're doing is educating people on the fact that a dog could be a segue to that. And I think that's amazing. Stormy's trained as a PTSD dog. The first time I had a night terror, Stormy, she started licking your face and pounding your chest to wake you up. So what's the training like then, Ryan, for a service dog? And at what point do you know whether or not they're going to be a service dog or not?
For us, it's a 2-year training timeline. We raise dogs as puppies within our community. We have volunteers that we call canine guardians that help do that first 18 months of training. They come in every week. We teach them the skills. They go back into their community, take the dog to work with them, grocery stores, wherever their daily routine takes them, they're bringing the dog with them. So that at the time the dog comes back to us, going into, a sporting event or a concert or something like that, is just like another day for the dog. It's really about exposure more than it is about like teaching the dog how to jump through fiery hoops. We just want them to have been exposed to the world. So by the time that we come back, they come back and do their intensive training, they're good to go. Like, that box is checked. When we train the service dog, it's about 6 months long after we've retrieved them back from their volunteer. And during that 6 months, we're teaching them all the skills necessary to navigate, as best as possible, the general public. Obedience, but also the service dog task. So when we're looking at the veterans that we're potentially placing these service dogs with, it's a one size fits one model. So it's not a service dog in a box. Like, one veteran's symptoms aren't going to be the same as the others. So as we're screening candidates, we then take that information, we formulate different pictures based on what those symptoms look like and how they present themselves. And then we train the dog to respond to it. When the veteran comes in, they'll be in training for 10 days intensive on site at our facility in Central New York. And they do 5 days of virtual learning prior to coming, just to understand dog theory, behavior, like how do dogs learn, some of the basic concepts. So we're not wasting time when they get here and they're actually doing the training. It's about 6 to 8 hours a day. They'll take the service dog home with them at night. They come in every morning and they're training all day. So it is a training camp. They're training with different dogs, so that we can ensure that there's compatibility. There's no way for us to know what dog is going to be the match for the veteran until they're actually on site. So we'll have a few different dogs that we'll place them with. That first week, we're really assessing compatibility. So we'll have between 3 and 5 veterans in the training camp, and they'll be matched with different dogs. We'll then determine what that match looks like. Within 3 to 5 days, they start bringing the dog home, doing their work, their task, and the capstone is a public access test and high traffic area out in our community.
Okay, I know you're in New York. Jim's asking, where is Ryan located? So what city is it in New York? 13
miles east of Syracuse in a small town called Chittenango.
And it's like 79 acres. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, ClearPath, it was built on this concept that we're going to form this enduring protective circle around veterans as they come home for as long as needed. So we don't just do service dogs. We do so much more. And the atmosphere is really important to us.
So a lot of people might be listening to this and they're not at that point, or maybe they don't have a friend like you did who kind of want to take them under their wing and make them comfortable to reach out. So what can you say to those people in terms of other services that you provide and what a first step might be for them?
Peer support is incredible. Just to connect with other veteran that has lived an experience, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be combat. There's a lot of things we wrestle with as veterans, just trying to find purpose outside of the institution, I'll say. So peer support is one of our bigger programs. We help veterans connect with employment, education, benefits. It could be basic needs. It could be, a retiree that's just looking to figure out how to give back in their community, what's next for them. So they'll work with them and provide a tailored approach. We also have a wellness program that helps veterans with non-clinical modalities and for pain and stress. So things like meditation, massage therapy, polarity. There's a lot of different things that's happening on site right now, but we are looking to expand that into the digital landscape this year. We have a culinary program that provides luncheons for veterans every week. Every Wednesday, we'll have between 150, 250 veterans on campus where they're just like, there's no barrier to access, right? They come, they sit down with other vets, have a great lunch because our culinary program is amazing, and they find community that way. And it's a great way to introduce them to some of our other core programs. Also, we do obviously our canine program, but we also just started a skill bridge program. It's a DoD authorized skill bridge program to help veterans find teaching jobs in K through 12 districts. That's called Operation Socrates. It's brand new, but getting a lot of attention.
That's cool. So if someone doesn't live in New York and before the online portal opens up, what ways might they be able to get involved?
They should call us because the canine program is a national focus. We'll place a dog with a veteran anywhere they live in the country. And our Operation Socrates and peer support is accessible, right? Like give us a call, whatever it is, whatever questions you might have. We're able to tap into your communities and help you get the help that you need. And a lot of the things that we do, it's a hub and spoke model. We understand that we can't do everything. So we have a network of partners locally and nationally to help veterans, get connected with the right folks to get to where they're going.
Yeah, as you guys are listening to this, if you have more questions, Ryan's in our group, you can drop them down below. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tag somebody who I think would be a perfect fit for this. And if you guys can all do the same thing, please. And I'll go ahead and I'll put Ryan's website down below too. So I know that there's some people asking how to get in touch with him. So I'll go ahead and direct you there. Very easy to get in touch with him. The website's incredibly easy to navigate. And Ryan is a super nice person. And everybody that he works with is as well. Ryan, thank you so much for coming onto our show. And as you guys have more questions, just drop them down below and we'll tag Ryan in them. And thank you everybody who's tuned in.
Thank you.
Thank you.